traditional lands of the Kosepsum and the Lekwungen ancestors and families who've been here for thousands of years. I'm also working from home today from the traditional unceded territory of the Kawatsan people. So always just want to take this moment to show gratitude for where we get to live, work, and play, no matter where we're joining from in the world. So today we are going to be diving into a bit of a mock lecture from one of our professors and program heads in the School of Tourism and Hospitality. We'll also be touching on a high-level overview about our undergraduate programs, and we're really thrilled to be able to give you a bit of a taste of what it's like to be a student at Royal Roads. So my name is Christy Jones, and I'm an education specialist at the university. But as I was mentioning before, I am joined by Dr. Brian White today, who is the program head for our BA in Global Tourism Management program. And then I'm also joined by a few other wonderful folks. We have Mark Dickinson here, who is helping out with some tech support today. So if you have any challenges with technology today, you're welcome to send him a private message and he can help you troubleshoot. We also have Tracy Summers here today from our enrollment team. She'll be helping with providing helpful links in the chat box and also answering your questions. And then we also have Eugene Tomlinson, who is the school director of the School of Tourism and Hospitality. So thrilled to be joined by many helpful folks on my team today, as well as all of you. So to go over our agenda, we're actually going to start off with just a brief overview of the Royal Roads University experience, a bit more about the programs, and then we will dive into the mock lecture. And then at the very end, we'll touch on the application process and requirements. And of course, we want to answer your questions all throughout the presentation today. So feel free to use the chat box function and just ask questions anytime they come up, because chances are if you are thinking of something, somebody else in the room has the same question too. So please don't be shy with that. Alrighty, so if you have not been to our campus before, here's just a little snapshot. On the top left-hand corner there, you will see Hatley Castle, which is definitely a focal point on our campus. It was built in the early 1900s by the Dunsmuir family, and it's used today as a working building for our staff. Sometimes we have events and classes in there. It's also used for things like film projects, weddings and such. So if you've seen the movies X-Men and Deadpool, you will recognize this castle, but it is very much a hub of activity all year round. The top right-hand corner, we have the Japanese gardens. So kind of just adjacent to the castle, we have a whole network of interconnected gardens that you can go and explore. So the Japanese gardens is just one of them, but we also have the rose gardens, we have the Italian gardens, a croquet lawn, lots of beautiful places for you to take a walk through as you're having a break from class and your studies and things like that. On the bottom left-hand corner, we have the Esquimalt Lagoon, which you can also see a little bit behind the photo of the castle. So we're right on the water, which is really, really amazing. This is a bird sanctuary. So if you do like wildlife, this is a wonderful spot for you to come and observe what's going on. So this is another wonderful spot, again, if you have a break in your classes, to just go and take a walk. And then in the bottom right-hand corner, just a bit of an ode to the fact that we have been doing online learning for over 25 years at Royal Roads University. So we've been able to adapt very well with the COVID-19 situation and being able to do courses online, as well as being able to bring them back on campus as we've been doing just this September, because it's been safe enough to do so, which is really, really wonderful. But of course, we're always monitoring the public health situation. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to you, Brian, to take us through a little bit more about the programs.
Okay, thanks a lot, Christy. Appreciate it. I'm also working from home, and it's my pleasure to introduce you to the school. We've been going here for several years now, for I think 15 years, and we're very pleased with the progress that we've actually seen. So maybe you can move the slides ahead. Okay, so the major focus Royal Roads has, of course, is applied degrees. That's why the university was set up. And that's certainly something that we take great pride in, that we've produced so many excellent graduates who have gone on to make a difference in the field of tourism and hospitality. The class sizes are small to medium. Recently, because of the changes that we've had and an increase in demand, the master's levels, we've seen some major increases, but most of the undergraduate courses currently are a size where we all know your names. So we provide that extra attention. We really focus as much as we can on experiential learning, learning outside the classroom wherever possible, and by using field trips and broadening the experience that everybody has of learning. We particularly want that to happen so that we maintain the contacts and the focus with the industry itself, with the tourism and hospitality industry. Currently, many of our students, of course, are working as well as going to school, because there's such a huge demand for people in this field at the present time. There's a major labor shortage. So we combine our own experiences of going out and looking for opportunities, as well as learning from people who are currently working in the field or have had extensive experience. We do a strong focus on team projects, which I think is an essential element in learning. So one of the things about being a manager, supervisor, or a CEO in the tourism and hospitality industry is making sure that you're collaborative, that you're able to work effectively with other people on your team, and work in a more, we promote a more democratic approach to learning as a result of our experiences and of our advisory committee, which gives us direction and advice on the opportunities and approaches which we should take. And that advisory committee is from industry. So it's a really important part of how we work within Royal Roads. In terms of career development, I'm still following up people that graduated years ago and providing support and letters of references as they move up through their careers. So we have a strong connection there with our alumni, and it's something that we have a strong career development organization within the university who can provide that support and assistance as you're moving out. Finally, a critical element here, and I'm going to ask Dr. Eugene Tomlinson to comment on this briefly, if you're able to, Eugene. International opportunities. This is something that we've done many years. We've run programs overseas, particularly in China, in Jinhua, and we've had a number of different partnerships, particularly with Germany and Austria and Mexico, whereby we're able to actually provide students to go overseas and have international students coming to stay and do a semester with us at Royal Roads. So Eugene, maybe you could comment a little bit on the opportunities that we're looking forward to in Mexico.
Sure, thanks, Brian. Right now, we have an arrangement or a collaboration with a university in Guadalajara, Mexico, and their name is ETESO. And what we've started doing in one of our classes already is that our students are connected with students from a similar class in Mexico, and they actually work on team projects together. So in this product development course, they're working together in teams of 2 from Royal Roads and 2 from ETESO, and working on a joint project. In the future, or this coming year, we're actually even working on a ground or a field project with ETESO. There's an area between Guadalajara and Puerto Vallarta that we are working with them on some projects on destination development. So unfortunately, at this point, we're not, because of travel restrictions and everything, we're not able to bring any of our students down there. But we will be working with the university down there, and you'll have the opportunity, if you join us, of course, to work on a project that is based in Mexico, a real project of destination development. So that's one of the exciting things that we're looking at. And we're actually working on other international partners to do similar sorts of things. As a related thing, you might have heard the term COIL before, some of you, and that's a collaborative online international learning opportunity. And that's one of the things that we do at Royal Roads. Thanks, Brian.
Okay, thanks a lot, Eugene. Appreciate that. Just a comment, as was indicated, we're looking at a situation where we're hoping that the opportunity for doing more outreach and going off campus is something which is is really fundamental to the program. We're hoping that that will open up over the next year. But in the meantime, we've had, 25 years of, as Christy mentioned, 25 years of experience in building and developing online learning. And that's really paying off for us at the university at the moment. Now, I'll just go over this. I'm not going to go through intense detail on this, but I will give you a bit of an outline of what kinds of job opportunities that you can expect coming out of this program. I'm mostly going to focus on the Bachelor of Arts in Global Tourism Management. Next, in November, Moira McDonald will be focusing more on the hospitality side. But either way, there's a considerable overlap back and forth in between hospitality and tourism. And what we're looking at here is a number of different opportunities which you can actually follow through. And one of the critical things about what we do at Royal Roads is that people can move from one particular area to another. You don't have to just stay in one field. The level of education and quality experiences and learnings that you get will allow you to move back and forth between something like hotel and resorts into event management. We have a number of graduates who are consultants. Tourism management, of course, is a major focus. And in that particular field, we've got a lot of people who are currently working for the BC provincial, Destination BC and the provincial government. So if you look around there, you can see that there's a wide range of different opportunities that you can move into. And like I said, you can move from sector to sector according to the opportunities. No matter whether we have COVID or not, there's opportunities during this pandemic which are open to us and which will expand further once the pandemic comes to an end. Okay, next slide, please. Here we are. Right. Okay, so what we're looking at here is an outline of the individual courses which you've got in Global Tourism Management. All right. So if you look through the list there, you'll see that you're ranging in topics from pretty wide-ranging elements right through to things which are very specific. I'll focus a little bit on things like event management, where there's a very particular corpus of information which you need to know and which you need to practice if you're actually going to make it work. The field school is a chance to get out and experience some of the tourism and opportunities which are available in around Vancouver Island. And that's something which we're going to be running on the basis of, at the moment, of day trips going out from the university. Tourism research is essential, not only because for people going on or wishing to go on in further education in universities, but research is really foundational to being a successful manager within the tourism industry. It's really, really important. Ethical issues now are critical. Multicultural management. Of course, we've got such a large number of international circumstances in terms of people going overseas to do work, which many people do out of this program, and also multicultural management in terms of how you work in Canada. So those kinds of elements are absolutely critical. We've talked a little bit about career development, and now, of course, we're very, very much involved with digital communications. So that is something which is coming along and which we're all learning as fast as we can in terms of what opportunities that offers in terms of where you go after you graduate. Many people coming in, a lot of students coming into the program are far, far more sophisticated than say myself in terms of their knowledge of digital communications. So once again, it's a foundational piece in international tourism, very, very important, and something which we really are starting to stress more heavily. Destination management and marketing, that's one of the courses which I teach. And once again, understanding how destinations work has changed radically over the last few years. And in a few minutes, when I do my shortened or abbreviated little presentation, I'm talking a bit about how destination management has evolved. So I'll leave that one for the time being. Other topics: entrepreneurship, human resource management, a big deal in this industry, financial management, strategic management. These elements are critical and important in the field. And you go through this in a sequence to really get a sense of it. Thanks for your comment, Yannick. Okay, good. Okay, so let's have a look at the hotel management program. I won't be focusing as much on this one in this presentation. This will be coming up in November. But you'll see once again, there's a lot of overlap between the two courses. Okay, so that's an important point. Some of these courses are very specific. One of the things I haven't mentioned about the other program is the internship. This is an opportunity to go out and get the direct work experience in either one of the BA programs. So that's an important element as well. And once again, if you know much about running hotels or working in the hospitality industry, you can see some of the very specific topics like revenue and yield management, the value co-creation idea, the finance, all of those different pieces, which are a little bit different from what I discussed and described in the BA in Global Tourism Management. Okay. Once again, you've got conferences. We're hoping to get back to face-to-face conferences again very, very soon. This has been a really interesting circumstance in that we've had to do virtual conferencing because of the situation that we've been in for the last 18 months. And once again, in going through these conferences, we've been engaged with some excellent competitions. And the competitions that we engaged in have got us a few recognitions. We've won a few, we've placed well, and it gives us a chance to see how our graduates and our students stack up against people in other programs. So that's a chance to also to meet other programs and get to know some of the students. Other classroom experiences, we've talked a little bit about that. You see the note Comic-Con. This is where students become involved with organizing and managing a major conference in Victoria. And you can see there people going out whale watching, visits to different locations, different kinds of operations around the Victoria and Vancouver Island region. So all of these things make a big difference. If you actually have these things, these are memorable. One of the things about going out together in the classroom, and for many years, by the way, we've taken everyone camping nearby, which is a new experience for a lot of people, is that the fact that you build the friendships in the class. So with the teamwork and the collaboration, which we teach here, those things carry forward. So the people that you meet, the people that you can see in these pictures here, they still remain friends. They maintain their contacts on Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn. They are people who will stick together for a long, long time and will become their professional colleagues. Okay, next one. So exchange, we've talked a little bit about, Eugene has discussed this a little bit, and this is just some examples of the different organizations that we have had exchanges with in the last little while. So we have exchange students here from Germany right now at this time. That's something that we look forward to. It enriches our classrooms immensely, and we send our students over to these different institutions as well. Next slide. This shows some of the places you can go for your internship. We have placements all over the world. Many people want to stay in Canada because they want to follow a pathway to Canadian citizenship eventually. So with the opportunity for work permits, which you are eligible for upon as you complete the program, you can stay and get your work and get your Canadian experience built up really well. And as you can see here, we've got placements in many different parts of the world. So, and also across the bottom, you'll see some of the different places that people have gone to get that kind of placement. We have people in very senior positions in places like England and China and Canada, and I think there's a few in the States as well, and Australia. So if you look at that, it gives you a sense of just what the scope of your internship could be. And you get lots of coaching, lots of advice, and lots of contacts when you come through the program in terms of where your internship is going to be taking place. Next slide. So what do you come away with? You come away with a very, very, I think, intense set of competencies, skills, awareness, understanding, and ultimately capabilities, things that you're capable of doing I've seen such change in students going through the program from when they start and when they finish, no matter what level of experience they come in with. And that people come into this program with many, many different levels of capability when they go through it. So you build the skills, and some people will build more skills in one area than another. But whatever it is, you come out with a very strong and highly credible package of capabilities. And that is in a situation where you can go anywhere in the world with what you get in the program from Royal Roads. So leadership and teamwork, you betcha. Now, here's something that's really new, really special. We're moving towards an accelerated program. This is something we offered many years ago, but now we're going to provide an accelerated 16-month program in the Global Tourism Management and in the International Hotel Management program. This will be starting September 2022. So you're still in with all the people in the regular, longer program. There is no separate program or anything like that for the accelerated. It's all the same courses. What is the difference is you will take, you will be able to manage the program by taking more courses in each term. Okay, so you work harder for less time. So the 16-month accelerated program is a powerful opportunity. I think we had so that's something which is important, because what it does, it means your time in the program is not as much. The cost is the same, okay, but the time in the program is not as much. It's not such a long period of time. You work harder, a more intense period of time, and you come out a little bit earlier. I think there was a question there. Okay, I'll go straight into this. We can answer some questions later on.
Actually, Brian, if you want, we can
have a break
on that question there. So we had someone ask in the chat box, can you please tell about the January intake? I don't believe we do have a January intake date.
No, not yet. But one thing you should know about was we're seriously discussing this. That has to be approved higher up the level. So we can see how that goes as we go along. Eugene, I don't know if you want to pitch in on that one at all, on the January intake. Eugene there?
Yes, yeah. Right now for the, we are just discussing it at the moment. So we have to see whether or not there would be the interest in it. And as Brian mentioned, we need to get it approved first. So that will definitely not be this coming January. At the very, very earliest, it would be for January 2023. But again, we cannot promise anything like that. But we are looking at it because we want to make the program as accessible as we can for students around the world. So that's one of the things that we are looking at.
Okay, thanks a lot, Eugene. Okay, so any other questions? What other things can we answer at the moment?
There's a question surrounding the new accelerated model and if folks would still be eligible for that post graduate work permit afterwards.
Yes, they will.
Perfect.
Definitely.
Okay, yeah. Easy question there.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so there's no other questions at this time. So I think we'll move on to the mock lecture portion. But please feel free to continue adding your questions to the chat box as we go along. So Brian, hand it back over to you.
Okay, well, thanks very much. So the whole idea here is to give a sense of what a lecture would kind of look and feel like. This is a shorter one, and it's going to be focusing on sustainable destination management and marketing, which is a course that I've taught for several years. It's an area which I've specialized in, and something that I'm particularly enthusiastic about. It's something really, really interesting for people. And what's most important, it lets you go directly to the it allows you to go back to your own hometown where you came from. Yeah, I don't think that. Okay, so we just move it to the next slide. I hope it doesn't change automatically. Okay, so here's what we look at. If you look at the courses that we're offering here, you're seeing that there's a comprehensive look at what exactly it is that you're dealing with. In this particular course, I'm particularly interested in what definitions mean. There's a lot of specialized language in the destination management area, okay? There's a big shift going on in how destination management organizations, DMOs, actually work at the present time. We talk a lot, maybe too much, about the impact of COVID-19 because different destinations have responded so significantly, have such a range of response to the circumstances that the world is now facing. Social media, boy, I'll tell you, that one is a big deal. So how do media influencers work in your choice of destination, especially in the times that we're working with right now? And then I always end up in in this introductory lecture, which I'm just sampling now, exactly what people need to do in the assignment and in the teamworks. At the end, I mentioned the readings. We try to find, much of the readings are not out of textbooks in the program, okay? But if you get a really good textbook, which is really up to date, like the one I use, which is Morrison 2019, that we use and which we stick with. It's a big deal. As I go through, I want to point out something else. One of the things about our faculty and our associate faculty is that they've all been in the field and done a ton of work over a lot of time, okay? Many people are coming in there with extensive backgrounds in the industry. Some people are younger, but still have got a lot to offer. So, okay, let's move to the next one. This is
Sorry, Brian, I'll just interrupt really quick. Just so like there is some automatic timing on the slide. So if it jumps forward and I jump it back, that's why I didn't realize there was that formatting.
I'm sorry about that. I should have taken it out. Okay, thanks. Okay, so this shows how we actually respond to the pandemic. We're taking a look at the circumstances which we've shifted over to, where we've got mass customization, major technological adaptation, and you can see the shift in the model which is there. Previously used to be supplier centered and customers were on the outside. Now it's customer focused. The environment is certainly a critical factor right after that. The suppliers are on the outside, as it were. So it's all about customer driven experiences. That really makes a difference. Okay, so and that, once again, that will continue to change. Next slide, please. Okay, so the other thing I was mentioning about in my case, I've been in this particular field for 5 decades, right? So what have I experienced? Well, I worked at Whistler, which is a huge resort, right? I've worked in, I think in my case, I've actually consulted in 14 different countries. So I've got some experience over the years, and some of that experience is valid, but you've got to keep up to date and you've got to keep recognizing what matters there. And this gives you some direction of what actually things we're going to deal with in the course. In destination management, you're at different levels. You've got local, you've got regional, you've got national and international. So we go through those different elements and we look at the way in which these things work. We talk about stakeholders and we talk about residents, big time now, who've got a lot of power. And we look at how marketing actually works and how it has shifted and changed as a result of digital marketing, a really critical piece. And once again, the motivations of tourists have changed as well. How does that work? Well, you can look around British Columbia, which is very much focused around tourism, and you can find a lot of excellent examples. Whistler, of course, is a big one. I was there when it first got started back in the 80s, when it got going in the 80s. And, you know, I've watched it grow and develop. And so once again, that could, you know, this has been one of our major field trip destinations in the past. Next slide, please. Another place I worked was in Dubai. This is an interesting picture because you notice there's no tourists in sight, nothing, no one's there. And this was taken in 2008, just after the great financial crash. So the place was pretty well unoccupied. But what I want to point out mostly here is that you've got a critical factor in the definition and understanding of what you do. And if you're a manager, a destination manager, you need to know very clearly where the parameters are, where the boundaries are of the work that you're presently doing, okay? And this is some of the points which we put forward, which are really significant. And this says, this is what a destination is. That you really need to know that clearly and have some agreement on it before you proceed forward and get into more details in the course. So in this particular case, we use international examples of destinations to illustrate and present how that works. And I bring my consulting experience into these discussions as well. Next slide, please. So once again, we go through in detail where we are. And if you notice at the bottom there, I use treksoft.com as a blog site which indicates where the travel industry is working. This one goes back to 2019. And now if you update that, as I am doing, how did that work? Where we were in 2019, where are we now, and where's it going to be going? So those kinds of elements matter a lot. Do you know where we are? Do you know where we've come from? Do we know what we need to do as managers and as directors as we go forward? How do we work with the stakeholders, with the communities we represent? And how do we actually maximize our opportunities but still pay attention and clear attention to the issue of sustainability of destinations? Over-tourism has been a really big deal. And how do we actually address that? We can actually express in clarity, in quite clear terms, what we think the current circumstances are by doing research, and then express what we think things are going to happen in the future. We know how unstable things have been recently, but this is something we can actually put forward. What you see there is a list of what people are interested in 2019. How has that changed? Well, there's a few changes here which we can explore, but by and large, those kinds of directions are still holding fast today, even under the conditions of the pandemic. Next slide, please. And we're getting towards the end of this little brief presentation, but one of the circumstances which I've taken on in the last 30 years anyway, has been indigenous tourism consulting. I backed out of that a little bit lately, but quite honestly, this has been a critical factor. Several of our graduates are indigenous and have taken on leadership roles in their communities. And of course, indigenous tourism is a very significant opportunity in Canada and around the world as well. So in this particular picture, we've got a picture of the hiders in the potlatch in Skidegate in Guayhanas. So keep in mind that resilience, this idea of resilience, is a critical factor, particularly when you deal with tourism destinations. Now, what we're talking about resilience is your capacity to adjust, adapt, bounce back, redirect. Those kinds of things are absolutely serious. They're really important. If you don't do that, then the competitive position of your destination is going to go down the hill. Okay, so you've got to build this in, and you've got to get the support and agreement of the stakeholders, the people who've got the investments, and the community itself. The community may not see massive growth as a priority. If that's the case, instead of trying to get more tourists, you might want to get more value, and you might want to make sure that the destination you're developing has maximum resilience and sustainability going forward, so that the quality of the experience that the tourist has and of the residents is not declined or diminished in any way. Next slide, please. Okay, so here's something. I did some consulting in Yunnan with a DMO there, and one of the places I visited was this attraction. Now, this resulted in a lot of debate and discussion in the class. There's a strong feeling this is the Disneyfication of minorities, particularly in China. And then other people push back, saying, no, it introduces people to the lifestyle of people and increases the level of diversity. So that debate is something that I support. I think having a debate and having a chance to make up your own opinion about the situation is really important. So in the classes that we offer, and no matter what class it is, we encourage discussion and debate, okay? Particularly around the idea that everybody contributes to everybody else's learning. It is not a matter of the sage on the stage. We expect people to contribute things from their own experience and discuss and compare what they have done and what they have learned with everybody else in the class. So if you take a look at this image here of a model, and once again, we do a lot of theoretical modeling in the program. This is an important piece. If you're going to be a senior person, you've got to understand the models, okay? And this is some of the things you need to look at. So planning and research, product development, marketing, promotions, partnerships, community stakeholders, leadership and coordination. And I want to end off with that one because leadership is a really critical piece in what we teach here. We expect people to develop your leadership skills. Not everyone has the same capacity for that, but we want to build what we can and make sure that it develops and that when you go out there, you feel confident and sure about your ability to provide that leadership in the jobs that you go into. Not saying that you're all going to, excuse me, everyone's going to start at a senior level, but you build towards that level with the knowledge that you can do it when you get there. Next slide, please. So what assignments you'd be expecting in both of the programs, in BHIMN and BAGTM. Team assignments, big deal, okay? We're very keen on that, and we're very interested in getting you up in the class, presenting what you've learned to the class. Really important, okay? So just remember that that's part of the deal that you come in with. And that's what you take out and that you use when you get into your jobs. Reading assignments, annotated bibliography, going through, doing the readings and reporting back on what you see and what you found and what your opinion of it is. Term papers, obviously, we definitely got those. We're quite big on making sure that you're a good writer. And we have courses which focus on effective communications and writing. We use the APA, excuse me, the American Psychological Association framework for effective research and writing style. And that's something that you will learn as you come forward. And that's something that will take you forward. If people are going on to a higher level of education, you need that particular knowledge. Forum contribution. Now, we have a situation where we use an online forum through Moodle. So that's a big deal because those people who don't feel that comfortable about speaking up in class can become quite involved in the forums. In my course, I use a series of questions, one on each of the units in the course, and we have a forum discussion on that, and people respond back and forth to the comments which people make. So that's an important piece, and we assess people's on their contribution, not just on participation, but on contribution. How much did you contribute to the program? How much did other people learn from you? We do have some exams and quizzes, but it depends on the course. Some courses, it's better to use a more exam and quiz approach. Other courses don't. In my course, I don't use that, but other courses will because of the fact that it's appropriate to the subject which you're learning, okay? So that's what you need to think about. So that gives you a sense of what to expect in the program. It's fairly intense, make no mistake about it, but it's manageable. I noticed a lot of the students we have at the time work part-time. People going through the accelerated program, once it gets launched next fall, might consider not having an extra job. If you do, you want to make sure that it's very carefully managed so that you still have lots of time to get your work done if you're taking a couple of extra courses. It's still manageable. In the past, when we did it a few years ago, it worked out quite well. So have a look at this and see what you can come up with. Just in case anyone asks the question, why did we abandon the one in the past? In the past, the accelerated program was a separate program. And it was too difficult with the number of staff that we have to manage it. Now we're offering it so it's timetabled so that all of the accelerated students are in the same class, in the same same courses as the people who are taking the longer version. Okay, so that gets rid of the differential and makes things a lot easier to manage. Okay, I think that's about it. Thank you very much. A view of another West Coast sunset to end off with, and thanks for listening. Okay, Christy.
Thank you so much, Brian. That was such a great overview of the kinds of things that you can learn in the classroom. And I'm always wondering this. I know I've asked this to Eugene before as well, but I know that the tourism industry has had a rough go with this pandemic. And I always wonder, like, what makes you hopeful about what's to come for the tourism industry, and any trends that you're seeing that are going, okay, I think we might bounce back in maybe a different way than before, but in a positive way. And that's for either of you.
Sure, I can answer it if you don't mind. What's kind of amazing after COVID, or even though we haven't completely gone out of COVID yet, is just how quickly the industry is coming back. There are a lot of opportunities that are already opening up. And what's interesting and I guess especially relevant for our students is those positions that are opening up are throughout the organizations. So not only at the entry level, but all the way through management, because what we've found through COVID is there was a lot of people who have either changed careers or decided that they're ready to retire. And what's happened then is that throughout tourism and hospitality, there have become a lot of openings throughout these organizations. So, and these opportunities we're hearing about kind of worldwide, which is quite interesting to see. So there's definitely a lot of hope that, and even hope looking back. Tourism is one of those industries that always seems to bounce back and bounce back stronger every time that it goes through any of these sorts of shocks, like the global financial crisis and 9/11 and anything else that's occurred in the past. I'm a bit of a data geek, so if you'll permit just briefly, but looking at the trend, they're expecting, there was a bit of a drop off in the growth in tourism, but they're expecting that growth to continue. The big thing, though, that we're trying to do, or especially here at the school, is making sure that when we do come back, that we don't just come back the same way that we were. We want to make it, as we start coming back, to do a much better job so that we can avoid some of the issues that we were facing in tourism and hospitality beforehand, things like the over-tourism and the unsustainability in some areas of tourism and hospitality. So again, that's some of the things that we talk about in the program is, and I know this is kind of an overused phrase, but building back better. So building the industry back, but better than it was before. Thanks, Christy.
Thank you, Eugene. And Brian, anything that you'd like to add as well on that note?
Well, yes. And just to add to Eugene's comments a little bit, the other issue here is global mobility. Okay, that's a really big deal, and we've taken students from many different countries into this program. As you can tell from my accent, I'm originally an immigrant. Okay, from England. Yeah, long time ago, but still, I haven't lost my accent. The point I would make there is that you come here with a particular vision, or many people come here with a particular vision of staying in Canada and working in this industry. And that is an opening, as we've seen so many opportunities during the pandemic for people to move in and get started in this industry. It's a great thing. Not only that, we've also watched with tremendous admiration people who've come here with a vision of going back to their home country and doing some exciting and important things there. We've looked at, we have strong connections with places like Bhutan, faculty members who run programs, ecotourism and cultural tourism programs into Bhutan. That's a place we admire, we respect, and we want to encourage and support. the growth and development of their tourism industry. With indigenous tourism in Canada or around the world, same thing. We want to make sure that we provide the best possible education we can so that people can take these ideas and run with them and bring them forward. So that's a really critical piece to add in as well. So, and once again, I want to stress how individualized this program is. We get to know people individually. We know your name. We're on social media with you. All of those different elements are there. And we want to make sure that we maintain those contacts over a longer period of time. I mean, some of my earlier graduates are actually retired already, right? I'm still in touch with them. So, you know, just remember that we're there to provide that support. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Brian, and both of you for providing insight on that. At this point, I'm just going to go through the application process really quickly, and then we'll try to get to a few questions that are in the chat box as well. So we have standard admissions and flexible admissions at Royal Roads. So I'll start off with the standard admission process, and that would look like 2 years or 60 credits of post-secondary education in a university transfer or diploma program in areas such as hospitality, tourism, business administration, or an equivalent, and a minimum B average in those courses. So 24 credits of that need to be at the second year level. Post-secondary financial accounting course with a minimum grade of a B, and that's for the International Hotel Management Program only. And then 400 hours of tourism and hospitality experience. And this is reviewed on a case-by-case basis to kind of take a look at what that experience has been. So if you are worried that you might not quite fit into the qualifications on the last slide, we also have flexible admissions, and it's all one application that you go through, but we just take a look at everybody's applications very holistically and decide if they would still be a good fit for the program. So flexible admissions could look like considerable work experience in the hotel and tourism industry, preferably 5 to 7 years of mid to upper level professional experience, post-secondary financial accounting course with a minimum B. And like I said, this is reviewed on a case-by-case basis. So applicants who come through this stream would normally be required to take our academic writing and critical thinking course. And we hear from many students that this is actually a really great experience and a course to take either way, because especially if you've been out of school for a number of years, or you're coming from a place where education might have looked a little bit different, this really sets you up well to get back into the headspace of being a student with all of the research, the referencing, academic writing, all of those things. This really sets you up well to start off the program. So some key dates. Our next intake date is September 6th, 2022, and then the application deadline for that is June 6th, 2022. So that's for both programs, and as well for, I believe, for the accelerated offering as well, the start date will be the same, right, Brian?
Yes, that's correct.
Perfect. Alrighty. So I know it seems like it's still far ways away, but it's always great to get an early start on your application, especially if you are applying as an international student, because you're going to need some time to figure out any of the study visa aspects of things. And as well, it takes our teams just a little bit longer to review all of the credentials that you're bringing in from a different country and things like that. So it's great to get an early start, because the earlier you apply, the earlier we can let you know if you are in the program or not, because we do what we call here rolling admissions. So we don't wait until that application deadline date to let everybody know if they're in the program or not. We can let you know quite far in advance, which is really great for you to be able to start planning and figuring out your schedule and setting up what this could look like for your own life. So a little bit more about how to apply. So there is an online application fee of $128.81 to start off the process, and then there's some supporting documents to go with that. So the first one on here is your official transcripts. Those do need to arrive from whichever institutions you've attended previously, sealed. And with the COVID-19 situation, we know that some institutions are doing emailed official transcripts, and we will accept those as well. So don't fret about the logistics of that part of things. The next one on here is a detailed resume. So this can be quite a bit longer than your typical job application resume, for example, because we really want you to use as much space as you need to fully explain all of the past experience you have. So of course, that's going to be things like educational experience, work experience, but also things like volunteer experience, perhaps any specific conferences you've attended, projects you've worked on, anything like that. We really want you to include it in here. And then to go with that is your personal statement. So this is a really wonderful document to spell out your why. So why do you want to take either of these programs? How will it contribute to your goals and where you would like to be within your career? As well, explaining a little bit more about your background, your qualifications, and why this program would be a good fit for you, and why you would be a good contributor to the cohort. So this is a wonderful way for us to really get to know who you are, especially if you would be considered one of those flexible admissions candidates, to kind of delve into your background some more. The next one on here is 2 letters of reference. So it's ideal if those can come, one from a professional background and one from an educational background, but we do recognize if it's been, say, a number of years since you've been out of school or something like that, there is a little bit of wiggle room there. So if you do want to submit 2 professional references or something like that, you can always chat with us about that. And with those, it is ideal if they can be sent directly to us from whoever is referring you, so we can kind of see their professional email address and confirm who they are and things like that. So we've had an amazing enrollment team that's been helping us out with this webinar today, making sure it runs smoothly. But if you do want to reach out to them, they are a wonderful resource to ask any other questions that may come up after this session. So the top contact information there, the learn.more@royalroads.ca, would be if you are applying as a Canadian student. And if you're applying as an international student, you are welcome to reach out to learn.more.international@royalroads.ca. And they are happy to set up a video call with you or just chat over email to really dive into the program some more and go over those application details in more of a case-by-case basis and things like that. So with that, I'm just going to take a look at the chat box before we close out the session today to make sure that we've covered the questions that you've added here. Alrighty, let me see. So we have a 2-year university studies in Mexico at the university. They can move to this program. Okay, and Eugene has answered. I'll just read it out loud too, just for the folks who are watching the recording afterwards and don't have access to the chat box. We do have some students who do their first 2 years in Mexico, then enter our program. We have some agreements already with some of the schools in Mexico. It is probably best for you to connect directly with our admissions team to chat more about that. Yeah, they'll be happy to get more into detail with your specific situation. And then, is the letter of reference the same as the letter of recommendation from the agencies? Thanks. That is a good question. That might be one that you want to discuss with our enrollment team as well, just because I'm not too sure about the agent portion of things. So, Brian, do you know by any chance?
Okay, so what I've seen a lot of the, I look at a lot of the references which come in, where we really would like it if you write your own letter of reference. The letter of recommendation from the agencies can be an inclusive piece, but it's not the same as a professional reference or a personal reference. It's an additional piece, right? The letter of recommendation from agencies, we take seriously, all right? We understand it, we recognize it. We know there's a system of agents out there, which a lot of international students use, and which we respect. We work closely with the agents. So what I would suggest is that where possible, if you're going to, you have a letter of reference from the agency, that you make sure that you also get professional references as well as personal references. As we said, we're flexible on this, right? So if you get a letter of recommendation from agencies, we'll take it, we'll look at it, we pay attention to it, and we'll take it seriously. But we'd like you to write your own letter of your own application. So if you reckon, and Ariadne is pointing out that the letterhead is not the same. Okay, so if you get something from the agency, it's in addition to what we are asking for. Okay, so it's not the same. All right, but it will be something else which we would put into the mix, but you still should have professional and personal references as well. Does that make
Perfect.
sense?
Yeah,
Okay.
totally. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Ariadna, for jumping in on that question. And we know we say 2 references, but like Brian was saying, like you can include more than that too. If you want to have 4 or 5 people speak to your eligibility to the program, you're welcome to include that. And then, yeah, that document becomes still a valuable, but just a supplementary document for your application. So great question. Thank you for asking that in the chat box. And with that, I don't see any other questions. Oh, I do see one more. What is the normal time for a reply on your application? Ariadna, I might put you on the spot again because I'm actually not too sure what the timeline is at the moment for receiving a reply on your application. And I'm guessing, I'm not sure if you would be applying as an international student or a Canadian student, because that can impact the timing a little bit. International, okay. So we'll just wait a moment, but you're welcome to reach out with our team to know an exact timeline, because I'm not totally sure off the top of my head on that one. And then we have a question here. Can I apply regardless of when I left secondary school? Yes, absolutely. There is no age limit on the folks who can take our programs. So don't count yourself out if it's been a number of years since you've been out of school. We definitely still encourage you to apply. And then Ariana said up to 18 weeks. So yeah, with my comment to start your application out early, this is a good reason why, just so we can make sure that we are able to get back to you, and so you have enough time to plan your journey back to school and what that will look like for you. For the approximate cost, it's all on our website. So if you do want to take a look at that, you're welcome to just hop over there after, and you should be able to find out a very detailed breakdown of the different costs. So with that, just looking at the time, it is 9:01 now. Brian, is there any other final comments you'd like to make before we end the session today?
Well, no, just looking forward to meeting some of you. Hopefully you'll apply, and also to let you know that you can also contact me directly via the going through the website at Royal Roads, or you can get in touch with me on LinkedIn. So there's a number of different ways. I'm not big on Facebook and those and Instagram, but I'm definitely on LinkedIn, and I can be reached, and I'd be happy to answer any individual questions you might have. So,
Perfect. Thank you so much, Brian. And I know Eugene had to leave, but a big thank you to Eugene for helping out on a few points and adding his insights as well throughout the webinar. And then to our team behind the scenes, Tracy and Mark and Ariadna, for helping out as well. It really does take a village to put on these webinars, and we are so happy that you're all able to join us today. And we do hope that you reach out if any other questions do come up along the way. Alrighty, so with that, have a great rest of your day, everyone. And yeah, we hope you really got some value out of today's mock session. Thanks.